God, sometimes I hold something small in my hand, a piece of moss or a budding twig, and peering closely in at this tiny world, I feel a sudden wonder in remembering just how close you are. Oh God, we thank Thee today for the world in which You have placed us, for the universe whose vastness is revealed in the blue depths of the sky, whose immenseness does shining stars beyond the strength of mind to follow light. We thank You for the beauty of our earth, for the sweetness of our flowers, for the solemnity of our stars, the soundness of our streams, and the swelling seas, the stretching land and mighty mountains which rest and satisfy our soul, the purity of dawn which calls us to holy dedication, and the peace of the evening which speaks of everlasting rest. Above all, we thank You for the dignity You have bestowed upon every human being in the crown of Your creation. Give us the grace to let the light of Your glory shine through us in our actions, our words, and our thoughts. Thank you.
Commissioner Leitner? Here. Commissioner Walls? Here. Commissioner Rice?
Here.
Commissioner Duckham? Here. Commissioner Tompkins? Commissioner Mahoney?
Here.
Commissioner Polacek?
Here.
Commissioner Elwell?
Here.
Chairman Shotwell?
Here.
Be present.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written. We have a motion and support. Any corrections or deletions? Seeing nor hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Duly passed. We have no awards and recognition. At this time, we would entertain communications and/or petitions from the audience to be handed to the clerk, please, to be entered into the minutes.
This would be copies of reports?
Yes, sir.
Presentations? Should I give that to the clerk?
Yes, sir. We have a motion and support. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Duly carried. We have no special orders or public hearings. We've now arrived at the first opportunity for public comment. Public comment guidelines are each individual will state their name and have 3 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under public comment, and the opportunity may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate nor answer questions at this time. This is the first opportunity for public comment if you'd like to address the board.
I would, sir. My name is Michael Maylard. I live at 6076 Sanctuary Drive in Leone Township. I was here before the board a number of times in 2014 to deal with, discuss Lester Brothers and use of the county pit, Calls Pit, and the exposure and the problems that we've had with that, and that's been going on now for 8 years. I found over, my first contact was with Commissioner Rice in March of 2014, which then got me in the direction to deal with the Road Commission and a number of the other parties. I found over the 6 months that I was interfaced with that, though, there was eventually no action taken by the board. I FOIA'd the files of the county in 2016. There was a number of revelations there. They had a 5-year contract starting in 2009, and one of the staff persons named Al Roden personally shepherded that lease, and also a second lease in which was negotiated 3.5 years before the first one expired. I thought that was very, very telling. The question is, why had this been such a priority to the commission staff? I can only presume special interests. There's been discussion about the life of the pit. Director Peterson at that time was the road commissioner in 2014. He had the survey crew go out, and he says there was about a year left. 3 months later, I talked to Bill Lester in a meeting. He said there was a year and a half left. Early 6 months in 2016. Jim Lester numerous times says there was just a little bit left. The two lease agreements have one underlying thing that was intended to improve the site from existing conditions. And Jim Lester and Lester Brothers was planned to mine the site with the intention of leaving the property suitable for residential development. There's no direction that appears to be a valid thing, especially in our development, 800 feet down the road. We've got wooded lots, acre lots. There's 20-some lots available, and there hasn't been any housing there for 6 years. I wanted to talk about the liabilities that the county has. I believe they do. Right now, you've got a gate with a pipe gate, and you've got a sign that says no.
You have 20 seconds, sir.
How many?
20 seconds.
And I think it's a liability there because they've dug a 30-foot hole in one of the ponds, and young adults could come on it and have issues. The governing body is responsible to assist.
I'm sorry, sir, you've run out of time.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Fassett. I live at 3900 Whipple, and this is my first time being before the board. I come to talk to you about the same situation as my neighbor here. I've been biting my tongue for a long time, hoping that this would all just go away like I was promised. I was told that it would be a 2-year project. It's been going on for 8 years. It's also not a commercial property, but there's a commercial operation running out of it. It's not just Lester Brothers trucks. There's 4 or 5 other truck companies going through there. Okay? He rarely cleans the road. It's like living on a dirt road, which, with this happening, I can power wash my decks, my house, my vehicles, and the very next morning get up and be able to write my name anywhere around there. Everything is so covered with dirt. I don't know whether any of you have children, but I do. I have a handicapped son with respiratory problems. And I don't think any of you would enjoy spending your summers at U of M with him on a breathing ventilator. Because we can't open the windows to our house because everything is full of dust. I appreciate those of you who are looking at me and listening. Those who are not, well, used to it. I wake up in the mornings, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm a veteran of 9 years. I hear those loud bangs in the morning, loud, from those trucks, slamming, and the first thing I do is roll over to grab my weapon. Because I'm not used to being woke up like that when I'm not in the field. Another thing is I sat out last year at the guidance of my lawyer, put a camera on the front of my garage. So everything is detailed, all the coming in and going out. I sat there for 45 minutes. I know. I got it right here. I sat there for 45 minutes and counted 29 trucks. 29 trucks, people. I'm sure any of you sit on your road, you probably don't see 29 vehicles go by in an hour. I see it in 45 minutes. That's 45 minutes out of my day. I hope that by me coming here,
Out of time, sir.
thank you for your time.
Peter Blumworth. I've had 2 people come up to me and ask me, both students at JC, because they see me come down here, I guess, on the television, to say something about some of our roads, and I believe they're both residents of your district, Chairman Shotwell. McDivitt Road and Vandercook Lake, from the center of Vandercook Lake at the end of Francis out to the Shell station, is just horrendous. And these girls are saying that it's destroying their vehicles. And also Emmons Road in front of Jackson College. I believe that's Summit Township, and possibly if they pass, this project, if they go ahead with their bond for the roads, then maybe that would get fixed. But I believe McDivitt, and I just confirmed that is your issue. And I understand that it's a complicated road, that there are slabs of concrete below that have to be removed, so it's going to be a very expensive repair. But, I'm hearing things from constituents out there, and it's really a very difficult road to drive on, and as you know, it's the main thoroughfare coming in and out of Vandercook Lake, and a lot of people coming in from the south and east of our county come through that road. So I hope you'll take the necessary steps to see that McDivitt Road gets repaired for your constituents. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. We have no special meetings or standing committees. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the March 21st, 2017. We have a motion and support. Any corrections, deletions, or additions? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Duly carried. We arrived at the consent agenda. Entertain a motion for the consent agenda. We have a motion and support. Any items for removal? Okay. Item 9B. Chairman of Affairs and Agencies, it'll become 13B. Okay, Dave? Yep. Thank you. Any other items for removal? Seeing nor hearing none, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll for an adjusted consent calendar?
Just posted, is that
Okay, that's fine. It's on your computers. Is unanimous. Standing committees, affairs and agencies, chaired by Commissioner David Elwell. Commissioner Elwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a number of appointments tonight. The first is a Department on Aging Advisory Council. There's 2 public member seats that are vacant for members. There were no applicants and no committee recommendations, and that'll be held over for next month for agencies and affairs. Region 2 Planning has 1 public member seat. The applicant was Judy Southworth, who is also the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor of Judy Southworth, please say aye.
Aye.
Those the same, sign if you're opposed. Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Next is the Emergency Management Advisory Council. The first is a sheriff or representative. Applicant and recommendation from committee is Sheriff Steve Rand.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Elwell?
Next is City Police Chief or Representative. Elmer Hitt is the applicant. Chief Elmer Hitt is the applicant and recommendation from committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
Next is the City Fire Chief or Representative. Dave Wooden is the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
Next
Commissioner Elwell?
is the Michigan State Police Jackson Post Commander or Representative. Kevin Rod is the applicant, Lieutenant Kevin Rod, and is also the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Commissioner Elwell?
Next is Township Fire Chief. Deputy Director Scott Rajewski is the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Commissioner Elwell.
Next is Township Police Chief. Chief Russ Rakowitz is the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
Next is the Emergency Medical Services Provider. Dick Borton is the applicant and recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Next is the Jackson County Medical Control Rep. Joe Glare is the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
Next is one public member seat. Applicant is Kenny Price and also the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
I'd like to jump down to the one commissioner member. John Palachik is the current member, applicant, and the recommendation from committee.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Jumping back up one, there's a public member seat that was formerly held by Tony Raduezo. There was no applicant for before we met in committee. There was an applicant that came forward afterwards, Jeff Kirkpatrick, which I forwarded that application to the commissioners tonight, and I would like to nominate him from the floor.
I have a motion and support. Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing nor seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Commissioner Elwell.
Next is the Region 2 Area Agency on Aging, one commissioner member. Carl Rice Jr. is the applicant and the committee recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Sorry
Motion carried. Sorry about
to
that.
cause you pause there, Mr. Chairman. Next is the same committee, one public member seat. Deborah Eccleton is the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Last committee is the Jackson Traffic Safety Program. Matt Dame is the applicant and the recommendation from committee for the local government rep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
And one city council rep for the same committee, Craig Pappen is the applicant and also the recommendation from committee. Councilor Craig Pappen.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
That is all of the appointments. Next up is the Securus contract for the Sheriff Department, and I would make a motion that we approve this as in the agenda.
We have a motion and support. Commissioner Mahoney.
Just had some concerns about the cost of which the sheriff was here to answer. I should have just emailed, but didn't have time. I was hoping he would be here tonight to answer a couple of questions on it. The Jackson County proposed remote visitation schedule, I was just kind of confused on why the price was going up after the longer amount of time. I just wanted an explanation on that. But that was really my only question. I don't know if maybe the administrator would have a question or an answer to that question.
Other than inflationary cost, I can't see the justification for it. The equipment's all put in first up.
That's it, and I know, and then the other thing is this, it says right here, that the pricing is subject to change. It doesn't say what's gonna cause the change or what the change may be caused from. So I'm just concerned on the pricing, because it seemed like over time, more people are gonna be more accustomed to using this technology. So it seemed like with more users, the price of this would go down, not up. So for that reason, I will not be in support of this.
If I may, it could also be due to they're looking to introduce and, keeping the price low and then ramping the price up as people become more accustomed and familiar with it.
And I agree. I thought about that as well. It seemed like, and that the price isn't too big of a jump, but I don't know if there's any connection fees like there is for a regular phone call included in that. Because if that $15 connection fee that we charge for a phone call is included, that means it starts at $20 and then ends up at $30. But that would be what my concern was.
Any further questions from commissioners? Commissioner Placzek.
one of the questions that I have is that I'd like to add to the sheriff or undersheriff's duties is that when they do their monthly report, that they include if there's any savings that they're appreciating, and also if there's complaints from any of the clients or users about this. And if we could just get that on a annual basis, would be fine. But if there's a lot of complaints, I want to know. And
The administrator noted. Thank you.
you.
Commissioner Elwell.
Well, I still support this. I did have some initial concerns, the same as Commissioner Mahoney did, but I'm in support of it now. But a couple of questions for the administrator. And the first is, I also appreciate the undersheriff forwarding us the schedule of fees that we're going to be charged. But if I understood that right, that's not necessarily tied to the contract, correct? That's just an estimation of what the fees are, or is that tied to the contract? And we have no control over those, correct? Correct. That concerns me a little, that we have no control over that. I'd be a little more comfortable if it was written in the contract. And if we don't like those, we also have no other option in the contract. We can't break the contract, correct?
48 months.
So 4 years. Okay.
And that's again, 48 months and primarily to the significant investment by Securist in equipment that they would recoup the costs prior to.
For what it's worth to the public, it seems I recall the investment was like $275,000, if I remember right. So, I also questioned in my own mind whether it would have been possible to have a video visitation area set up at Wesley Street. May have made sense to me, which would have meant they wouldn't have had to move prisoners for that either, just an area for that. That way it would have taken care of residents that may have been at the jail downtown that they wouldn't have to trip out to Channer Road to see without paying. But as I sat and thought about it, in the bigger picture, it's offering something that family doesn't have now, which is the ability at least to visit from home if they want to, for a fee, and actually have it face-to-face versus just a phone call where you're talking to them. So I'm supportive of this unless somebody sees some way to change those things or lock those fees in, or give us some right to change that, which I'd like a little bit. I'll be supportive of it, so.
You'll get an answer to those questions back to commissioners? Go ahead.
Right, well, if I can just a little bit further, if we get the answers back and we don't like them after we vote on them, it's going to be too late, but. Mike, do you think it's possible we could get some of those things written into?
I think it's unlikely. This, as you guys know, has been going on for a number of years now. It's not the first time around that the sheriff has brought this forward. And while it is, frankly, it is costly, I do believe the sheriff's correct in that there will be some economy of scale, some savings for us, moving prisoners around, as well as, safety improvements. And frankly, as you pointed out, that video visitation is, actually it seems to be the future, and it's the way most counties are starting to go. And it's only a matter of time. We can delay it. We have delayed it before. I think it was, 2 years ago when it was first here. I think it's time to go ahead and move forward with it. And I understand it's somewhat unusual in that, with a contract that we don't have a little more say. But given the terms of this and the lack of competition and the cost involved, I understand the thinking behind it.
I personally agree it's a wave of the future, and it is certainly more convenient, but I'm a little uncomfortable with having absolutely zero control over the fees of it. Because realistically, although we were provided that fee structure for the next 4 years, they could totally abandon that, and that would be tough luck for us. Correct?
Correct. It would, bear in mind that if they, again, supply and demand, if they raise their fees to the point where no one can afford it, obviously they've got a significant investment that will produce not the cost curve they expect. So, the market will dictate price.
Any further questions? The vote's in front of you, if you'd like to vote. Pass 7-1. Anything else, Commissioner Elwell?
That's all to report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Standing Committee Human Services chaired by Commissioner Rice. Commissioner Rice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Human Services has no business to come before the board tonight.
Thank you. Standing Committee Personnel and Finance chaired by Vice Chairman Phil Duckham. Commissioner Duckham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have no business tonight.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business, and at this time, we have no new business. We return to the second opportunity for public comment. Any public comment, please step up to the microphone.
It's Mike Mailer again, to kind of put some closure. I was talking about the liability that the property would be to the county, and to put forth an overdue decision to end this operation, to give the citizens in the area relief on something that they were never praised of and had no input, how this operation would possibly be compatible with the adjacent community. As to options Lester Brothers has, they recently purchased an existing quarry in Henrietta Township. With statements from Jim Lester, he'll be glad to be out of this location. He has recently indicated that's been at least 3 weeks that they are in full production at that location. So I say let him pursue that direction and let us be able to enjoy our surroundings and property. Concerning the condition of Whipple Road, that has deteriorated because of the double haulers all over these 8 years. They rattle loudly, and you've got a washboard effect, no matter if they're going below 20 miles an hour. Jim Lesser offered last year to pave about 400 feet of it. He said he contacted the director of the road commission, and when I talked to the director of road commission during the FOIA meeting, he indicated he hadn't been contacted. He said he was going to contact him, obviously, if he was going to do some paving repairs. I have not heard any status on that, nor was the road repaired. So I suggest in the budgets for road improvements that Whipple Road certainly be considered for the deterioration that it's had experienced. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yes, my name is John Fassett, once again, 3900 Whipple. I want to thank you guys for listening to me tonight. My wife said I couldn't make it through. Being as upset as I was, I couldn't make it through without using colorful language. And so far I have. Lester Brothers isn't acting alone on this. Like my lawyer says, when there's illegal and immoral actions going on, not taking care of it is condoning it. So the people, the commissioners on the boards, they're just as guilty as Lester Brothers for letting this continue. All it shows the people in that area is that you guys really don't care. You don't care about us. You don't care about our kids that can't breathe. You don't care about wives having strokes. You don't care about the banging at 5:30 in the morning that wakes us up daily, and the nonstop traffic. The lies, to me, a lie equals disrespect. I don't disrespect them. I don't disrespect any of you. And I ask, please, that you stop the disrespect for us that live in that area. Thanks once again.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. Commissioner comments? Seeing none? I would like to entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal opinion with, in accordance with MCL 15.268. I have a motion from Commissioner Duckham. Support. I have support. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Walls? Yes. Commissioner Rice? Yes. Commissioner Duckham?
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yep.
Commissioner Placzek?
Yes.
Commissioner Elwha?
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell?
Yes.
Unanimous.
We are in recess.
I would make a motion that we follow the recommendation of council.